Aunty Ngozi smiled and said, "Madam, this is the girl." Madam Stella chuckled, her voice deep and sharp. Pretty. She will do well." Then, without even looking at Mary again, she said, "Take her inside." Aunty Ngozi patted Mary's shoulder. "Be a good girl, Mary. Do whatever Madam tells you. This is for your future." Aunty Ngozi did not answer. She turned quickly, her heels clicking, and left. Mary did not know that this was the last time she would see Aunty Ngozi walk away as family. It was on a Sunday, the sun burning hot in Umume village of Imo State, when Aunty Ngozi arrived in the village. She was Papa's younger sister, the one who had left for Lagos many years ago. Papa always said, "Ngozi is a blessing. She never forgets her people." And it was true. Whenever she visited, she brought provisions, bags of rice, tins of milk, bars of soap. Even with her sharp tongue, she was generous. And Mama often said, "God will bless that woman." So when she came that afternoon with her gilet tied high and her handbag swinging, Mary's parents welcomed her with open arms. After eating Mama's hot soup, Aunty Ngozi leaned close to Papa and whispered, "Brother, I have good news. There is a woman in Lagos named Madam Stella. She helps young girls travel abroad for work. Mary is smart and beautiful. She will do well. Abroad life is better than farm life. She can send money home every month and give you a better life." Papa's eyes softened. Mama looked worried, but Papa said, "Ngozi has never deceived us before. If she says this is good, then maybe it is truly Mary's chance." Mary's heart leapt. If Papa trusted her, how could she doubt her? That night, even when Mama warned, "Mary, not every road leads to heaven," Mary brushed the warning aside. Aunty Ngozi had spoken, and Papa believed her. The next morning, Mary, a 20-year-old girl, followed Aunty Ngozi to Lagos. Her parents waved with hope in their eyes, not knowing they were sending her into a storm. The journey from Imo to Lagos was long and tiring. Mary's head pounded from the endless sound of horns, the thick dust, and the cramped bus. Yet, through it all, her heart raced with excitement. She kept whispering to herself, "This is it, Mary. This is your chance. This is the road to your dream." When they finally arrived, Lagos spread out before Mary like another world. The noise, the tall buildings, the endless stream of cars, it was nothing like her quiet village. Aunty Ngozi's house stood tall in a gated compound. The walls were freshly painted, the flowers trimmed. A shiny Toyota car was parked neatly by the side. Mary's mouth fell open. Inside, the house was even more beautiful. Soft chairs, a big flat-screen TV, a glass table, even air conditioning that blew cool air on her sweaty skin. Her heart danced. So this is Lagos life, she thought, eyes wide. Aunty Ngozi smiled warmly. "My dear, you will enjoy life here. First, eat and rest." She served Mary rice with chicken food richer than what Mary had eaten at home. After Mary ate, Aunty Ngozi showed her the bathroom to shower and then led her into the guest room. The bed was soft, the curtains bright, the wardrobe filled with clothes. Mary sat there, staring, her heart swelling with hope. At last, she whispered to herself, "This is the beginning. Soon, I will become the nurse I always wanted. Mama and Papa will be proud of me." That night, Mary lay on the soft bed, smiling in the dark, until sleep carried her away. The next morning, Aunty Ngozi woke Mary. "Mary, get up, take your bath, and pack your bag. Today, I will take you to Madam Stella." Her tone was casual, as if taking Mary to visit a family friend. Mary's stomach fluttered with nerves, but she trusted Aunty Ngozi. She was Papa's sister. She was family. Why should she fear? After dressing, Mary followed Aunty Ngozi into the car. As they drove through Lagos, Mary kept pressing her face to the window, staring at the tall buildings and bright shops. Her heart was full of dreams. Then they arrived at Madam Stella's house. The house was not as grand as Aunty Ngozi's. It looked older, with peeling paint and iron bars on the windows. But Mary brushed it aside. Maybe Madam Stella was not rich, but she was the doorway to Mary's future. A chubby, light-skinned woman in her late 40s opened the door. She had heavy makeup and gold earrings that swung as she moved. Her eyes scanned Mary slowly, from head to feet. Aunty Ngozi smiled and said, "Madam, this is the girl." Madam Stella chuckled, her voice deep and sharp. Pretty. She will do well." Then, without even looking at Mary again, she said, "Take her inside." Aunty Ngozi patted Mary's shoulder. "Be a good girl, Mary. Do whatever Madam tells you. This is for your future." Mary smiled, nervous but hopeful. "Thank you, Auntie. I will make you and Papa proud." Aunty Ngozi did not answer. She turned quickly, her heels clicking, and left. Mary did not know that this was the last time she would see Aunty Ngozi walk away as family. Madam Stella led Mary down a narrow corridor and opened a door. "This will be your room," she said flatly. Mary stepped in and froze. The room was dimly lit, the air heavy and stale. On the beds sat 4 girls, all around Mary's age. Their faces were tired, their eyes hollow. One girl with long braids looked up first. "I'm Zara," she whispered. Another, lighter skinned with a Hausa accent, said, "Isha." The third girl adjusted her wrapper. "I'm Nkechi." The last one, eyes red from crying, added, "Rose." Mary was the 5th. She looked at them, confused. Their voices carried pain, their faces sadness. Why did they look like prisoners, not workers? Mary's chest tightened as she turned to Madam Stella. "Ma, I don't understand. Where are we? When do I start the housemaid work?" Madam Stella's lips curved into a strange smile. "Don't worry. You will understand soon enough." She shut the door behind Mary. The sound of the lock clicking echoed like thunder in Mary's ears. For the first time, fear crept into her heart. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Mary stood in the small, dim room and watched the 4 girls. Her legs felt like cooked yam, soft and shaky. Her mouth was dry. Her heart beat so loud She thought someone could hear it outside the thin walls. She stepped closer to the oldest girl. Her face was tired but kind. Mary wanted to know everything. "How long have you been here?" Mary asked. Voice small. Kitty looked at her like she wanted to count years on her fingers. "I have been working for Madam Stella since I was 20. Now I am 25, Kitty said slowly. "My uncle brought me from Enugu. He said it was a good job. He said I would learn things. He said I would be able to help my family." The words fell like heavy stones. Mary forced a smile that did not reach her eyes. "What work do you all do here?" she asked, leaning in. Her voice wobbled. "My Aunty Ngozi told me Madam Stella helps people travel abroad. She said I will go and work kindly and then send money home." Aisha, with the soft Hausa voice, folded her hands and looked at Mary with shame in her eyes. She spoke then, and her words were flat, like someone who had told the same story too many times. "Which abroad na?" "Abroad na street work," she said. Mary had no idea what Aisha meant. She had never heard the word used like that. "What is street work?" Mary asked, face open and still young in her mind. The girls looked at each other, and one by one they laughed. But it was a sad laugh. It sounded like leaves in a dry season. Zara said, "You will soon understand." They did not have to say more. Mary would soon learn without word. That night came quicker than Mary could hold her breath. Madam Stella's laugh came like a cold wind through the room. She patted them like they were dolls, and then her voice became sharp. "Get ready," she ordered. "Tonight we go out." They changed. The clothes felt strange against Mary's skin. Short skirts that made her ashamed. Shoes with heels so high her feet ached. She touched her lips, and Madam pressed lipstick on them until they were red as ripe tomatoes. Mary had never worn lipstick before. In her village, Mama only used a small paste to fix her hair. Now Mary's mouth looked like it had a wound, a bad, loud color she could not hide. She wanted to run. She wanted Mama's small hut and Papa's rough hands, but the door was locked, and Madam's voice was loud in her ears. Mary swallowed the taste of fear and tried to stand straight. "Madam, please, I can't do this," Mary whispered, tears ready to fall. Madam Stella's face changed like thunder. Stars danced in Mary's eyes. Her cheek burned. "You think you have a choice?" Madam Stella hissed. "You owe me. I spent money to bring you here. Until you pay your debt, you belong to me." Debt, the word felt like chains tightening on Mary's neck. How could she owe Madam Stella money? She had never asked for anything. Her aunt had brought her. Papa had trusted her. That trust now felt like a knife. They pushed the girls into the night. Lagos at night was loud and hot and full of ice. Men leaned out of cars and laughed. Music poured from bars. Cars slowed and men pointed. Mary felt small and raw. Madam Stella pushed them forward and said with a smile that had no warmth, "Make me proud, my girls. The faster you work, the sooner you go abroad." The word abroad stabbed Mary again. It no longer sounded like white coats and hospitals. It sounded like a promise used to push a girl into the street. A man grabbed Mary's hand. His palm was wet and rough. He smelled like beer and smoke. "How much?" he asked Madam Stella, like bargaining for a thing in the market. Mary's whole body froze. She tried to pull away. "No, no, no!" she cried. But her voice was small, lost in the noise. Madam Stella's nails dug into Mary's arm like little knives. "Shut up and smile!" she spat. That night, something inside Mary broke in a way she had never known. Madam Stella ordered her hefty 2 men to take Mary into a smaller room with no food, no water, until she was ready to cooperate. Days turned into a heavy blur, she agreed, without an option. They ate little. They slept little. They lived under Madam Stella's cruel eyes. She counted the money like she had counted years of life from the faces of girls. She kept the money in her pocket and gave them crumbs. One night, when the city lights blurred and the air felt like it was pressing on her chest, Mary lay on a hard bed and whispered Mama's name. The roof above her was thin, and the moon watched without care. She thought of Papa hoeing in the land, thinking his daughter was learning to clean someone's house in a far place. She thought of Mama grinding cassava, waiting for her by the cooking pot. The tears came like rain, but even in the dark, a small seed of something else grew in Mary. It was a thin thing, hope etched with anger. She thought, if she must live, she would not let this life finish her. The same small hands that planted yam could dig out a new road. Mary resolved she would not let her story end at Madam Stella's feet. That night, after another round of tears, Mary prayed silently under her breath. Her lips moved without sound. "God, please, if you see me here, send me one helper, just one person, to hear my cry." The following evening, Madam Stella painted their faces and dressed them like dolls again. Mary's stomach churned as they were pushed onto the street. Cars slowed, horns blared, men's voices floated in the night like smoke. Then a black SUV stopped. The window rolled down, and a young man's eyes met hers. He looked different, not like the drunk men with greedy eyes. He was calm, his voice smooth. "Madam, I want that one," he said, pointing directly at Mary. Mary's chest tightened. Madam Stella's lips curved into a knowing smile. "She's fresh," she bragged, "but she won't waste your time." The man's name was Dayo. He was young, wealthy, and sharp in his dressing. Rumor said he owned shops on Lagos Island. To many, he was a man who changed women like clothes. But when Mary stepped closer to him, something softened in his eyes. For the first time, Mary felt strangely safe. He didn't bargain with Madam like she was yam or pepper in the market. He just nodded and opened the car door. She entered quietly, her heart thudding. At the hotel, Mary's hands shook as they walked into the room. The bed looked too big, the lights too bright. Dayo removed his jacket slowly, his eyes still fixed on her. "Come," he said gently, patting the bed. Mary's knees locked. Her chest rose and fell too fast. When he reached for her, she burst into tears, deep, broken sobs that shook her small frame. Dayo froze. "What is this?" he asked. His brows furrowed. Through her tears, words spilled out. "Please, sir, I beg you. I've never done this before. They forced me. My auntie lied to me. She said Madam Stella would help me travel abroad. But instead, her voice broke. She hugged herself as if to hide from the world. I don't belong here. I just want to go home." The room fell silent except for her cries. Dayo stared at her, this trembling village girl, trapped in a life too heavy for her shoulders. For the first time in years, he felt something tug at his chest. Pity, anger, maybe even guilt. He sighed deeply and sat back. "Stand up," he said. His voice had changed, lower, steadier. Mary flinched. But he wasn't reaching for her anymore. Instead, he pulled out his wallet and pressed a thick bundle of cash into her hands. "Take this," he said firmly. "Don't tell Madam what happened here tonight. Tell her I had my way with you. Do you understand?" Mary looked at the money as though it burned her fingers. Her tears slowed, confusion clouding her face. "But why?" Dayo leaned closer. His eyes were sharp but not cruel. "Because I believe you, and because if you truly want to be free, I can help you." He paused, then stood up and slipped his phone into his pocket. "Tomorrow, I'll speak to Madam Stella. I'll pay her. You'll belong to me alone. No one else will touch you again." Mary's breath caught. Belong to him? The words tangled in her chest, half relief, half fear. But still, a strange warmth flickered inside her, like maybe her whispered prayer had reached someone's ear. That night, she left the hotel without bruises, without shame. For the first time since Lagos swallowed her, she felt a thread of hope weaving itself into her broken heart. The next evening, the girls were lined up again, their faces powdered and lips painted red. Madam Stella walked among them like a queen inspecting her slaves. When Dayo's black SUV pulled up, her eyes lit with greed. He didn't waste time. He pointed at Mary again. "Madam, bring her," he said flatly. This time, he didn't drive her straight to a hotel. Instead, after a long silence in the car, he pulled over near a quiet street and turned to her. "Tonight will be different," he said. "I'm going to talk to Madam Stella about you." Mary's heart skipped. "Talk to her, please. Don't let her know what I told you. She will kill me." Dayo's jaw tightened. "Trust me, I know how to handle people like her." When they returned, Madam Stella was sitting in her parlor counting wads of cash with a fat gold ring on her finger. She looked up, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. "Back so soon?" she teased. "This one know do you well?" Dayo ignored her tone and sat down, his gaze steady. "Madam Stella, I like this girl. I don't want to share her with anyone else. I want her for myself alone." Madam raised a brow, amused. Since when did Dayo start catching feelings for street girls? You know the rules. They work for me. Nobody is special here. "I'll pay for her," Dayo said firmly. He pulled out his phone and tapped the screen. 1 million naira. Straight to your account. Tonight. The room fell quiet. Madam Stella's fingers paused mid-count, her eyes widening. 1 million? It was more than she expected. Greed flashed across her face, but so did caution. She leaned back slowly, her sharp nails tapping the arm of her chair. Dayo, you think you can just buy one of my girls like chicken in the market? You think this is love? Her voice turned cold. Do you know how much I spent to bring her here? Her transport, her feeding, and her accommodation? You can't just come and claim her. Dayo smirked. Madam, don't play games. 1 million naira is more than enough. You know it. Madam Stella stared at him for a long moment. Then at Mary, who stood trembling in the corner, a slow smile curled her lips. Fine. You want her? Add to the money. Dayo transferred additional 500,000 naira in front of her. Madam's phone buzzed, and she checked it with greedy satisfaction. Transaction complete, she purred. Then, with a wave of her hand, she added, Nobody will touch her again apart from you. But don't forget she still belongs to me in ways you can't see. Mary's chest rose and fell, her heart heavy with both relief and fear. She's now only for Dayo, yes, but she could still feel Madam Stella's shadow stretching after her, long and dark.